The apocalypse came quietly with heat, drought, and water shortages. At first no one paid attention to this disaster. High temperatures lasted for dozens of days, reaching as high as 45 degrees. Immediately afterwards the fields are dry, and the lakes are cut off. When people truly realize the seriousness of the problem, the end has already come. It's so hot, it's so hot. How can it be this hot this year? Yes, it has been over 40 degrees for 3 consecutive days. This is going to drive people crazy from the heat. On the way home from work, pedestrians hurried by, and almost no one lingered. Everyone rushed into the buildings to escape the heat. I parked my car at the intersection waiting for the traffic light, and glanced at my phone at 5:45 p.m. temperature 38. It was already close to evening, but the sun had not yet set. The sunlight and the persistent high temperature gave the illusion that it was still noon. Today's temperature felt unusual compared to usual. The green light came on and I hesitated for a moment. Instead of going straight home, I turned left to the largest supermarket in the city, planning to buy some supplies. Today is Friday and tomorrow is the weekend. If the weather continues to exceed 40 degrees, I will ask for leave to stay at home for a few more days to avoid the heat. Anyway, I just signed a big project, so the company should not deny my leave. I rushed into the supermarket, headed straight for the fresh produce section, bought a large quantity of daily ingredients, and then ran to the frozen section to buy some steaks and frozen fish and shrimp. As I passed by the daily necessity section, I found that the sanitary pads and tampons I usually use were on sale, and on a whim I bought 2 large bags, filling up my shopping cart. "Do you need help?" A young waiter came over with a shy smile. I nodded, handed him the card, and pushed another one, walked into the canned goods section, took 2 cans of each type, then entered the snack area grabbing a bag of sunflower seeds and chips. "Do you want to buy some drinks? Our large bottle combo is on sale for only 99 yuan. The waiter suggested. I think it makes sense, although I usually eat healthily. How can you eat chips without pairing them with cola? So I went to the beverage section and picked up 5 combo sets totaling 10 bottles, and had the guy help carry 2 cases of mineral water. Filling up the 3rd shopping cart, I thought that would be it, but when I passed by the rice area, I suddenly remembered that the rice bucket at home was almost empty, so I needed to buy some. So I continued to trouble the young waiter, asking him to carry 2 bags of rice for me, while I took 5 bags of instant noodles to fill the empty space in the 2nd shopping cart. At this point the 3 shopping carts are full to the brim, a total of 1,321 yuan and 8 jiao. "Do you need help with home delivery?" the waiter asked again. I shook my head and said no need. "Just help me move it into the car. Really not going to use it. These things are very heavy." The waiter seemed very eager to serve me, but I still declined and only asked him to help put everything into my spacious trunk. When closing the trunk, the attendant seemed to sigh, but I didn't pay much attention, and drove home directly. 5 years ago, after divorcing my ex-husband, I took a 6-month random trip, and finally chose to stay in this slow-paced, 3rd-tier city, leaving everything I was familiar with behind. I am currently renting a home in a high-end community in the suburbs on the 16th floor, which is neither too high nor too low, with 2 units per elevator and a separate security door. It may be because the activity times are different, plus the soundproofing is too good, and I have never even seen another neighbor. The only indication that there are other people living on this floor is the umbrella occasionally left at the elevator entrance. I parked the car in the parking lot and took 3 trips to move all the purchased items to the elevator. When I got to my front door, I spent another 10 minutes sorting everything and putting it into my large freezer and refrigerator. Because the community was locked down once during the previous pandemic, I specifically bought a large freezer, which is currently about 80% full. One part of it is filled with the ice cream I stocked up on, and the rest is all frozen chickens, frozen ducks, and animal oils, plus half a piece of pork. These are all sent to me by my mom from our hometown, which has contracted a mountain. The old couple raises pigs, chickens, and ducks on the mountain for fun, and they often send me frozen goods which keep piling up. I put the steak, frozen fish, and frozen shrimp in and finally filled it up to 90% full, thinking that even if a sudden outbreak occurs and the city is locked down again, this meat would be enough for me to eat for 2 months. Just putting some drinks into the fridge when my phone received a text message. I glanced with my peripheral vision at the high temperature red alert issued by the City Meteorological Bureau. With a large 41 degrees prominently displayed, the temperature in the city will reach a new high point exceeding 41 degrees. Citizens are advised to avoid avoid going out between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. if there are elderly or children at home. 41 degrees. I couldn't help but curse, directly grabbing my phone to edit a text message. To go through the process with the leader to request leave along with notifying HR and one go. In such hot weather I definitely don't want to go out and be grilled. Of course I want to take as long as I can. I calculated the compensatory leave I've accumulated over the past 6 months due to working on a major project. Plus the weekends, and I can probably take about 20 days off at once. It can't still be this hot after 20 days, right? The leave application was approved very quickly after I finished my shower and came out. The system showed that it had been approved. There were also 2 missed calls from my mom, so I called her back. Hey mom, ching ching, the temperature is very high there. If you have nothing to do you mustn't go out. Being alone there, how can you avoid heat stroke? Hurry and take leave from the company, don't go to work. You silly girl, you used to love running around when it was 39 degrees. As soon as the call was connected, mom started bombarding me with questions. I understand mom, you also need to pay attention to preventing heat and cooling down. Don't be reluctant to turn on the air conditioning, okay? I urged. What air conditioning to turn on? Your dad and I are in the mountains and the highest temperature today is only 35 degrees. We even cover ourselves with a blanket at night. You should worry about yourself. Why do you have to run so far? If you stayed here you could just live in the mountains and it would be much cooler. Mom started to nag in a bad mood. I let her nag for more than 10 minutes before finally finding an excuse to hang up the phone. This summer is indeed unusually hot. I opened a box of ice cream, comfortably sat on the sofa and ate while turning on the TV. Recent continuous high temperatures have led to the deaths of over 1,000 people in various European countries, and temperatures in some regions of India have exceeded 55 degrees, with experts stating that such temperatures are no longer suitable for human habitation. As soon as I opened it I saw the global high temperature information, and I am grateful to live in China where the per capita air conditioning penetration rate exceeds 100%. At this moment I still didn't know that in just a few days the continuous high temperatures would quickly tell me what it means to be uninhabitable for humans. On the next weekend I happily enjoy the 24-hour constant temperature air conditioning, sleep until I wake up, naturally watch shows and play games at home. And when it's mealtime I cook a dish and stew some soup for myself, comfortably realizing a vacation at home. Until Monday I was sleeping soundly when suddenly I was woken up by the ringtone of my phone. When I opened it, it was my colleague Wang Ling. Ching ching, why didn't you come to work today? I took a leave of absence, a long one, and you won't see me until next month. I let out a long yawn. Wang Ling listened, her tone shocked. Is it true the HR said you used up all your annual leave? And I couldn't believe it. Did something happen at home? She is the one I have the best relationship with in the company. I quickly sat up. It's nothing, it's just that it's too hot. I don't want to go to work, I want to take a break. Don't worry sister, it's hot, so you don't come to work. Are you crazy? It's not the end of the world. Have you never heard of the high temperature apocalypse? I chuckled. I really envy you for being able to take leave now. I still have some finishing work on my project, otherwise I would want to take leave too. You know, this morning on my way to the office the back of my hand got sunburned. Wang Ling complained to me for a few minutes and then hung up the phone. I glanced at the time. It was 8:45 in the morning. Is the sun already this harsh so early? I got out of bed, pulled open the blackout curtains and opened the window to feel the air. Suddenly a wave of heat hit me and everything in my line of sight seemed a bit distorted. What the hell? I quickly closed the window and pulled the curtains. Ridiculous, it's too hot in this kind of weather. How should people who need to work outdoors survive? I glanced at the weather forecast, which showed 39 degrees, but it quickly refreshed automatically to 40 degrees, and the temperature predictions for the next few hours actually showed a continuous upward trend. 10 a.m. 41 degrees, 11 a.m. 41 degrees, 12 p.m. 42 degrees, 1 p.m. 43 degrees, 2 p.m. 43 degrees. Am I crazy, or is the weather forecast crazy? Yesterday's highest temperature was still 40 degrees, and today it will reach 43 degrees. I made myself a simple breakfast in fear and trepidation, then cleaned up the trash and planned to go downstairs to throw it away. While the weather wasn't too hot yet, as soon as I opened the door I happened to run into Xiao Chen from the property management, who had just knocked on the door of the opposite unit. Great, you are here too, let's listen together. He turned his head and saw me smiling at me. I also smiled at him and looked at my neighbor, whom I had never seen before. He is a man with slightly long hair and dark circles under his eyes, looking like he just woke up. As soon as our eyes met we nodded to each other. It is like this: I am here to inform you that due to the high temperatures in the coming days there is a high possibility of power outages. If the power goes out, do not panic. Our community has solar power equipment. After a power outage it will take about 10 minutes to start up. So during this time please try to conserve electricity and set the air conditioning to above 26 degrees. Will there be a water outage? I asked coast it's not clear for now, but it's still recommended to stock up on some drinking water at home. The high temperatures are too extreme and our property management cannot guarantee it for the time being. We sincerely apologize. This is a flyer, please take a look. Got it. The man across the door nodded, took the flyer and directly closed the door. It seems that he is not a very polite person. Xiao Chen was not angry either. He handed me the flyer. I asked him if he wanted to come in and rest for a while, but he refused, saying he needed to quickly inform the owners of this building face to face. To avoid anyone missing the notification, are you going to throw away the trash? Just give it to me, I'll throw it away for you. He even took the trash from my hand. The property fee of 20 yuan per square meter is indeed worth it. The community, these supporting facilities are quite advanced and the service attitude is both good and considerate. After sending him off, I returned to the house and saw that the communication screen by the door indeed displayed the message about the possibility of a power outage due to high temperatures, which was no different from the flyer in my hand. I probably wouldn't have noticed it if Xiao Chen hadn't come to knock on the door. Today there are particularly many sounds of ambulances and fire trucks passing by. I was snuggled up on the sofa with the air conditioning on, eating ice cream, and I felt a bit guilty. News on the internet has started to roll out various disaster situations caused by extreme high temperatures in different regions, with one video being pushed to the top that was a reporter. For the first 30 seconds he was not wearing a hat and during the blazing sun while doing a live broadcast outdoors. At the 31st second, smoke suddenly appeared from the top of his head and then it actually caught fire. Fortunately, a staff member nearby quickly poured mineral water to extinguish it. Thank you for your concern, I'm fine. In high temperature weather, please do not apply too much hair wax on your hair and also do not work under the sun for too long. This is the pinned comment. I wanted to laugh, but I couldn't quite do it. I have a vague feeling that the world is going to have big problems. 43 degrees, 44 degrees, 45 degrees. Sure enough, in the following days the temperature continued to rise, and a week later the daytime high temperature reached an astonishing 46 degrees. Even at midnight it was as high as 39 degrees. All outdoor work has been completely suspended and almost all companies have switched to online work, with only a few essential workers still holding the front line. Yesterday's hottest news was about a mother who fell on the road while holding her child with a high fever, with all the skin that touched the ground burned. Today's hottest news has changed to a heroic electrician who suffered heat stroke and bravely sacrificed himself while working in the scorching sun with countless people silently offering small white flowers. Online, no one uses that candle emoji because it's just too hot. As high temperatures persist, power issues are occurring in many places and news of heat-related deaths is increasing. The authorities have activated emergency measures, opening all air-conditioned school auditoriums, gymnasiums, and shopping malls as 24-hour shelters for those without air conditioning to escape the heat, but the number of people who have died from the heat continues to rise as temperatures climb. Hospitals are overcrowded. Fires frequently occur in cities and villages, and there are videos seeking help all over the internet. Since the holiday, I have been calling my parents almost every day to understand their situation over there. Although they are in the mountains, the highest temperature has reached 40 degrees in the past few days. When I called them today, I learned that they finally turned on the air conditioning. Ching ching, you don't have to worry about us. You must remember to turn on the air conditioning. Don't be afraid of wasting electricity. Mom and Dad have money now. They are instead urging me to open. I'm driving. Don't worry, I said. Is there enough food? Do you want me to send you some food? We don't know when this natural disaster will end. Mom's voice sounds worried. Enough, didn't I tell you? I just bought a bunch of food before my vacation. Enough for me to eat for 3 months, and the property management delivers ingredients every day. After the call ended, I specifically took another photo of the inventory in my 2 refrigerators and sent it to them. Because of such a serious natural disaster, I haven't had much appetite these days, and I haven't eaten much. Only a portion of the fruits and vegetables in the 2 refrigerators is missing, and after rearranging them they still look full. Just finished taking the photo and sent it over. The TV suddenly went black and the whole room fell silent. I pressed the light switch a few times and confirmed that there should be a power outage. Fortunately, thanks to the reminder from the property manager Xiao Chen, I wasn't very worried. After the air conditioning stopped, the surrounding temperature quickly rose and the air became stuffy. Each breath taken felt much hotter. A few minutes later I was actually drenched in sweat. So I quickly took an ice cream out of the fridge, sat on the ground and ate it while waiting for the power to be restored. The ice cream is finished, but the electricity still hasn't come. I ate another one. The electricity still hasn't come. I'm feeling a bit restless and was just about to use the walkie-talkie to call the property management to ask about the situation. The doorbell rang. Through the peephole I saw the man from across the door, still with those dark circles under his eyes, drenched in sweat, standing at my door. door. Open or not, I hesitated for a moment, pulled up the safety chain and opened the door a crack. Is there something wrong? I asked. The man gestured with the thing in his hand, and when I looked closely it was an ice cream. I just called the property management and said it will take another half an hour. You must be really hot. Eat an ice cream to cool down. I have plenty here. If you're hot you can come and get some for me. His voice is surprisingly pleasant. Thank you, no need, I said. He may have seen my guard, so he didn't say anything else, just placed the ice cream on the shelf at my door and turned to leave. I opened the door slightly and watched him walk past 2 security doors, return to his house and closed the door. Perhaps he is really a good person. At times like this ice cream is a rare commodity. I opened the door, brought the ice cream inside, thought for a moment, put 2 layers of plastic bags over it and then put it in my freezer, while also taking out another ice cream to eat. After finishing this one I won't open the freezer anymore so the cold air doesn't escape. Really, it's so hot. About 20 minutes later I was lying on the ground in a big letter shape, panting like a dog. It's hot, but I don't dare to open the window, afraid it will be even hotter outside. 46 degrees of high temperature, not right. 1538 update successful. I widened my eyes, looking at the temperature display that had just refreshed on my phone, almost gasping in surprise. 48 degrees, it's already 48 degrees. This is impossible. I must have seen it wrong. I press my finger on the screen and swipe down to refresh. 1539 update successful. 1539 update successful. 1539 update successful, but after 3 consecutive times it showed 48 degrees. And then the interface suddenly changed to 404. I returned to check the weather again, but it prompted that the phone network was disconnected, and a red exclamation mark appeared on the screen. Power off. Power on directly shows that both numbers have no signal. Not only was the internet disconnected, but even the phone lost its communication function. The temperature around is constantly rising, and I feel like the room is about to reach 40 degrees. Every breath I take is hot air, making me feel like I'm about to suffocate. I rushed to the door, grabbed the intercom on the door and pressed the property communication button. Beep beep beep. Has no one answered for a long time? Has even the property management stopped working? Fear and anxiety instantly filled my heart, and the room was filled with the sound of my breathing. The soundproofing was so good that I couldn't hear any noise other than my own. It feels like being on a deserted island. Calm down, Su Ching Ching, you need to stay calm. I talked to myself, walked to the freezer, pulled it open, and took out a duck to hold in my arms. This duck has been frozen in the freezer for several months, frozen solid from the inside out, which made me feel a bit cooler and calmed me down, allowing me to start analyzing what to do if I get heat stroke alone in the room. Heat stroke should be, by the way, Huang Lian Jie Du water. I opened the medicine cabinet at home, down a bottle of Huang Lian Jie Du water in one go, then took out some essential oil and applied it to my forehead, neck and armpits to cool down. After that I went into the room, took a blanket, soaked it directly in a large basin of water in the bathroom and draped it over myself. I've done everything I can. Well, I take a few bites of an ice cream. I keep looking at the clock on the wall, regretting that I didn't buy an electronic clock with a thermometer, so I can't know the temperature in the room right now. However, even knowing the temperature, there is nothing that can be done. Beep beep beep. I don't know how long it has been. Maybe a few minutes, maybe half an hour, when the intercom at the door suddenly rang. I turned my head sharply and almost twisted my neck. Attention everyone, all homeowners, please note that our city is facing a heat disaster. The solar panels in the community have been damaged by the sun, and power cannot be restored at the moment. Homeowners can temporarily go to the underground parking lot to escape the heat. Currently the temperature in the first underground parking level is 39.8 degrees, and in the second underground level it is 38 degrees. Yeah, the underground parking lot. How did I not think of that? I was about to open the door and rush out. Thought for a moment, grabbed a backpack, put in a frozen duck, packed all the remaining essential oil and Huang Lian Jie Du water, then stuffed in 2 loaves of bread and 3 bottles of mineral water, rolled the blanket, and then opened the door. When the door opened, the door across also opened at the same time, and the neighbor came out with a big backpack on their back. What a coincidence, a neighbor I had never met before. I see them every time I open the door since the heatwave disaster. Come with me, my gas tank is full. He walked straight up to me and said. I instinctively took a step back. Since the divorce I have been very wary of the men around me, always habitually afraid. I'm sorry, I mean no harm. You should have a car too. Let's go to the car and turn on the air conditioning. If my car runs out of gas we can go to yours. This way we can last a bit longer. He looked into my eyes, seeming a bit at a loss. There are windows in the corridor and the sunlight shines in, making it even hotter than inside the room. The air I breathe in is somewhat scorching and my eyes even feel a bit blurry. I took a few breaths, grabbed the car keys by the door and closed the door. Go walk. In such a natural disaster no one can stand alone. We can only survive by coming together, and I can only agree with him. The neighbor walked in front of me, opened the the door to the stairwell and a rush of cool air came in an instant. 16th floor. Usually no one takes the stairs, but because it is usually not well ventilated, the stairwell, which is usually very stuffy, is surprisingly cool. I imagine the basement must be even more comfortable. The desire for cooling quickened my pace. Soon I heard footsteps echoing in the stairwell, rising and falling, accompanied by curses and the cries of children. It must be that the other residents in the building heard the property management's notice and came out. When I passed the 5th floor, I saw an old man with gray hair sitting on the ground against the wall, and he didn't react when someone walked by. "Sir, how are you?" I stopped and asked. "My legs are not good. I can't walk." "You don't have to worry about me, just go quickly," the old man said. I hesitated for a moment, and the neighbor who was ahead of me had already reached the corner but turned back upon hearing my conversation with the old man. "Otherwise, should we both help you walk?" "No need, get lost." The old man showed a fierce look in his eyes. I was startled for a moment and quickly went down. When I reached the 3rd floor, the neighbor finally caught up. Slipping up the backpack as they walked, I left him a bottle of water. "Life and death are fated." His deep voice trembled slightly. B1. The neighbor took out the car key, and an SUV very close to the stairwell flashed twice. He took 3 steps and then 2 steps forward, pulled open the driver's side door, tossed his backpack onto the passenger seat and started the car. With the sound of the engine starting, the car shook slightly and a strong smell of gasoline hit me, making my stomach churn. Actually, I am someone who gets car sick very easily, but at this moment I had no choice but to get in the car. So I could only squeeze into the back seat. The back seat space of this SUV is very large, but the air is terrible and filled with a sour smell of fermented fruit. I already get nauseous from the smell of gasoline, and with this peculiar odor I almost threw up. "Sorry, I forgot to take a bag of fruit out of the car." Maybe seeing my distorted face in the rear-view mirror, he quietly spoke up. In front, I searched around and indeed found a bag of rotten fruit. After hesitating for a moment, I still didn't throw the fruit away, but instead tied the plastic bag tightly and tossed it into the corner. "The food I brought is not much, so I need to prepare for the worst." The air conditioning is on and the temperature inside the car has gradually dropped. Although it is still stuffy, at least it is not so hot anymore. People around gradually passed by and sat in the nearby cars, clearly thinking on the same level as my neighbor. People entering the underground level saw that the car was full of people. Some turned around and walked back, probably to get the car keys, while others hesitated for a moment and headed towards the 2nd underground level. I saw several property staff hurriedly running past the stairwell, each holding a box of mineral water. "Conscientious property management," I sighed. "Let me introduce myself. My name is Luo. What do you call yourself?" The neighbor in the front driver's seat spoke up. "My name is Fong Ching. Sorry for getting your car wet." I hesitated for a moment and didn't say my real name, folding the wet blanket neatly and placing it on my lap. "It's okay." After he finished speaking, we all fell silent and quietly felt the temperature cool down in the car. This natural disaster, I don't know when it will end. The air is dull as the atmosphere, and the only sound in the car is the hum of the vehicle's air conditioning. After a while, he turned on the car radio. "Hereby it is reported that the extreme high temperature weather will continue for another week. Police residents tried to avoid going out as soon as it was opened. Unfortunate news was transmitted." I sighed and silently thought about whether the water and bread in my backpack would be enough to eat. If I had known, I wouldn't have brought that duck. I could have brought more food and water. Recently, the temperature in Greenland has been approaching 70 degrees F and the glaciers are melting. Here, extreme weather around the world. Half of the earth turns red. The scientist predicts that in the next 10 years the highest temperature may rise further. Luo switched a few channels, silently turned them off, and continued listening. Was meaningless. The news was increasingly anxiety-inducing. "It's all your fault. I said to take Xiao Ming back to my family's home in the mountains for the summer vacation, but you insisted on not letting me. Now look, we're almost like refugees." Complaints could be heard from outside the window. A couple with a little girl passed by our car and got into the car next to us. Because this SUV is parked close to the stairwell, more and more people are passing by our car, including the elderly and children, mostly families in a hurry. I silently watched them. The light above my head flickered a few times, and my heart followed suit. The elevator has stopped. Where is the power source for the parking lot lights? It seems I haven't heard the sound of the fresh air fan, only the lights are on. Just as he was thinking, Luo in the driver's seat suddenly slammed the steering wheel and cursed. I suddenly felt my whole body stiffen, and some fragments from the past forcibly flashed through my mind. My blood on my ex-husband's fish. Fong Ching, I was wrong. We need to go back upstairs. Luo turned to look at me, his expression stunned. "Are you okay?" he asked cautiously. I wiped the sweat from my face and tried to calm myself down. "I'm fine." "What did you just say?" "First drink some water." He handed over a bottle of water. I didn't answer, forcing myself to resist the urge to step back. I took a bottle of mineral water from my bag and drank half of it. My heart beat, calming down a bit. Fong Qing, we shouldn't go downstairs, there are too many cars, it might get very hot here soon, and it's very dangerous. Luo put the water back in the bag. Do you mean? I also realized something and quickly looked around. As long as there are people with cars, basically everyone thinks about going to the car to escape the heat. Among the surrounding cars, 8 out of 10 have already started and more people are gradually getting into empty cars. The vehicle exhaust may cause a rise in temperature and the carbon monoxide levels will also increase. We need to go back upstairs. Luo is looking at me. I rubbed my temples. It's easy to go down the stairs but hard to go up, especially to the 16th floor. It's killing me. If you don't want to go back upstairs, you can stay in my car. As long as you don't get out of the car, it should be safe. But Luo wanted to say something but hesitated. Once the car runs out of fuel, I still have to get out of the car to get some fresh air. At that time, I will not only have to endure the high temperatures but may also be poisoned directly from inhaling carbon monoxide. I am going upstairs. After weighing the options, I made a decision. We both tacitly checked our backpacks, put them on, and opened the car door. The little girl in the car next door is leaning on the window looking at me. I couldn't help but knock on their car window. What are you doing? The wife took the child over, looking fierce. There are too many cars in here. Carbon monoxide levels may exceed the standard. I suggest you go home. I finished speaking loudly regardless of whether she understood or not and turned to follow Luo's footsteps. They are the people who are closest. I have fulfilled my duty to remind there is no need to act like a saint. Climbing to the 5th floor, the old man was already gone and there was an empty mineral water bottle on the ground. Further up, the stairs were full of people going down. When they saw us going up, many cast puzzled looks our way. But there were also some who, like us, were going up, resting on different floors, likely thinking of the same situation. On the 10th floor, we ran into an acquaintance, property manager Xiao Chen. Are you going back to get something? He came down from above panting, carrying a backpack like ours, and when he saw us he looked surprised. We're going home and don't plan to come down again. You better inform those people in the parking lot to be careful of carbon monoxide poisoning. Luo replied to him. Xiao Chen paused for a moment, murmured something softly, and suddenly leaned close to Luo's ear, whispering a few words to him. I saw Luo's expression change from confusion to surprise and then to shock. Are you serious? Seek more blessings for oneself. Xiao Chen patted Luo's shoulder and hurriedly left. What did he say? I asked. Luo turned his head, his expression serious, and large beads of sweat fell from his forehead. Fong Qing, I don't know if my judgment is right or wrong. Make your choice. Go home up or go back to the car down. Xiao Chen just said that the thermometer at the property shows that it's not 48 degrees outside, but 56 degrees. What is the concept of 56 degrees? The new coronavirus can only survive for 30 minutes at 56 degrees. Where is the person? I was panting heavily and he was panting heavily too. The small space is filled with the sound of our two breaths. The temperature around is rising and breathing in and out feels like being in a sauna with waves of heat and discomfort. 56 degrees, 56 degrees, 56. Hasn't India been 55 degrees for several years? I couldn't help but retort. This number is really astonishing. I suspect Luo heard it wrong. It might be something like 46 degrees, and 46 degrees is already quite scary. How could it possibly rise to 56 degrees in such a short time? Luo's expression was serious. I'm asking you, do you plan to go home or get in the car? Are you going home or to the car? I threw the question back at him. Leaning on my knees and panting continuously, the high temperature causes the air to be thin, and after climbing so many levels I feel like I'm about to catch fire. Luo didn't answer, opened a bottle of water, drank half of it, and poured the other half over his head. His face was flushed with heat and the dark circles under his eyes had disappeared. I took out the last bottle of water I had left in my bag, drank half of it, and poured the rest over my head. The mineral water was closely attached to the 80% thaw duck with a hint of coolness that made me a bit more alert. As I struggled to think with the few remaining brain cells that were left overheated, it is now around 4:30 p.m. and there is still at least an hour and a half until sunset. If there is no air conditioning, the temperature difference between indoors and outdoors is usually 3 to 5 degrees, which means that if I go home I am likely to be scorched by temperatures above 50 degrees. But if you press enter, I was still hesitating when I suddenly heard the crisp sound of glass shattering. It was the high temperature that caused the metal window frame to deform, leading to the glass shattering. A wave of even hotter air suddenly rushed in. I have to go. I'm choosing to go home. You do as you please. Luo anxiously finished speaking and was the first to rush up the stairs. I followed closely without a second thought. The impact of high temperatures is greater than imagined. As soon as we moved, we heard a continuous sound of glass shattering, with some even falling from the window frames and shattering all over the ground on the 13th floor. I am so tired that I feel like a dog panting with my tongue out. Leaning against the hot railing, my legs stiff to the point that I can't move, Luo turned back and pulled me, dragging me to run up. Hot, the high temperature seemed to take on a physical form, transforming into a fire dragon that relentlessly pursued us from behind, occasionally erupting with dragon breath at thousands of degrees, ready to turn a person into ashes at any moment. 14th floor, 15th floor. It's too hot. The sweat on my body evaporates as soon as it hits the ground. On the last layer, I almost crawled up. My palms pressed against the ground were burned so badly that they hurt, and I felt that even screaming made my throat hurt. Getting quickly, Luo fumbled for the keys but couldn't find them no matter what. I grabbed the corner of his clothes from behind and pointed to my house door. The password is 0726. Ding, welcome home. Fortunately, the password lock hasn't been baked to death yet. We crawled in greedily, breathing in the remaining coolness inside. What a big freezer, I heard Luo's surprised voice. Going home is the right choice. I have stored so much ice, and I was worried about the water supply being cut off, so I also stored a large amount of water in the bathroom. I should be fine for the remaining hour or so. A moment later, I was lying in the bathtub, water with a few chickens floating in it. Luo sat on the lid of the toilet across from him, with one heel soaking in a basin of water along with a duck and another basin resting on his thigh. His hand plunged inside, holding a duck to keep cool. The bathroom is filled with frozen chickens and ducks. The scene is somewhat comical, but as long as it works, that's fine. At least the temperature in the bathroom has dropped to a tolerable range. You really are a talent. Are you afraid of a zombie outbreak with so much meat frozen in the freezer? Luo teased while playing with the ducks in the water. I would rather have a zombie outbreak. That way I can at least stay at home for a few months without being afraid of dying from the heat, I said coldly, looking out the window. This window may not have cracked due to being relatively small and in a shaded area, projecting a false image of a golden city outside, which feels very unreal. If this is a dream, I hope I can wake up soon. 2 hours later, the sun finally set. The rooftops of the city have lost their golden sheen, and darkness gradually envelopes the earth. More than an hour passed again, and looking out the window, I could see some floors lit with candlelight. It seems that there are still quite a few people who are stubbornly staying at home. Luo opened the door and walked out of the bathroom, took a deep breath, and then exhaled slowly. It's finally cooled down. I don't need him to say it. I already know it's getting colder. Because I feel a bit cold soaking in the water, I stood up from the bathtub, wanting to tidy up my disheveled self. But as soon as my feet touched the ground, I suddenly felt the wave of dizziness. Oh no, the next second my eyes automatically closed and I lost consciousness. When I open my eyes again, the ceiling fan light in the living room comes into view. I am lying on the floor of the living room and there is a hint of white in the sky outside. Did you feel dizzy all night awake? Luo handed me a bottle of drink. A good news, 3 bad news. Which one do you want to hear first? Okay, I was startled by my own hoarse voice and quickly took a sip of my drink. Luo nodded. The good news is that you are still alive. What about the bad news? I asked and took another sip. This drink is already at room temperature, but it is very palatable. After drinking some, I felt a surge of energy throughout my body, sat up and moved my hands and feet a bit, feeling a sense of having survived a disaster. The bad news is that the water was cut off last night. The electricity still hasn't come back and there's no signal on my phone. 3 bad news. I fell silent. If today is as hot as yesterday, it will probably be even harder to get through. By the way, let me tell you some good news. The radio function on the phone is still usable. We can still listen to the news before the battery runs out. I have 1% battery left. Luo smiled and turned on the radio. Here, China National Radio, China National Radio, China National Radio. Please, all citizens, try to stay at home during the day. Pay attention to hydration. Do not go out and wait for rescue. This heat disaster has affected 9 provinces nationwide, with the highest temperature possibly reaching 60 degrees here. The phone's battery is exhausted and it will shut down automatically. I stared at him numbly. The maximum temperature reaches 60 degrees. This number makes me doubt that I am living on Flame Mountain. Do you have a power bank? Luo still has the mind to joke. I walked into the study, took out 2 power banks from the drawer, and just as I was about to take them out to give to him, a flash of light suddenly crossed my mind. Power bank charging. Luo, come in and help me. I dragged a chair and placed it under the bookshelf. What do you want to do? Take down the package that is on top, the square one at the bottom. It's a bit heavy, be careful. Luo climbed onto the chair and took down the package. Yes, that's it. I felt a surge of joy in my heart as I carefully placed the box on the ground. What is this? Luo asked. Home solar charging equipment. What? I bought the home solar charging device before and I haven't opened it. I really admire myself too much. In the past few years I got promoted to the management level in the company and made quite a bit of money. So I've been buying all sorts of things. Whenever I see something I'm curious about or think may be useful, I buy it. If I remember correctly, this solar charging device was bought a year and a half ago. At that time I originally wanted to get an RV for travel, but I was discouraged by the lack of parking spaces. However, I had already bought quite a few outdoor survival equipment in advance. Sister, you are amazing. You actually have such a good thing. Luo also became excited and quickly helped to unpack and debug according to the instructions. Half an hour later, just before the sun rises, we placed the solar charging panel on the bedroom windowsill, pulled the curtains of the windowsill and dragged a freezer into the bedroom, filling it with small fans. The sun rises slowly, golden light spreads across the land again, and the temperature rises. Luo glanced at me. I nodded. He decisively pressed the switch. The buzz belongs to the sound of electrical appliances starting up, as well as the sound of a small fan beginning to work like heavenly music. When I initially bought the freezer, I considered that I didn't need rapid freezing, so I chose a model with lower power. If the solar charging panel is effective, maintaining functionality shouldn't be a problem. The freezer is now full of drinks and mineral water, some of which are mine and some are from Luo's move from his home. He said he is a game streamer and often doesn't go out for 10 days to half a month, so there are quite a few supplies at home. We counted all the food. The ice cream all melted and it was too difficult to handle, so I just threw it away. There were originally 6 chickens, 3 ducks, half a pig, about 5 pounds of steak, as well as 2 fish and a bag of shrimp in the freezer. In such weather it is difficult to keep these meats fresh, so we simply spread them all out on the balcony before they start to rot, hoping that today's high temperature can dry them out into jerky for easier storage. The leafy vegetables have almost gone bad after last night's high temperatures, emitting a foul smell. We didn't dare to eat them. It wouldn't be worth it if we got diarrhea, so we could only throw them on the balcony, sprinkled a bit of salt and tried to dry them into preserved vegetables. There are also eggs, which I simply wrapped in clothes and placed on the balcony shelf, hoping they will be sun-dried. While counting the snacks, I found that 2 bags of potato chips had burst and were baked hard and crispy. I took a bag and collected everything on the ground, moving the remaining complete packages along with other snacks, cookies, and bread into the bedroom, while the canned goods and rice stayed in the kitchen cabinet for now. Then there is a bag of apples. While they are still fresh, we decided to eat them quickly. This will be our food for the next couple of days. Sister, you really are talented to have hidden so much food at home, Luo exclaimed. Hiss, I got goosebumps. Don't call me sister, just call me by my name. Sister Ching Ching, shut up or I'll throw you out. I walked out of the bedroom and while the temperature was still not very high, went to the study to move a few books. These books have not been opened since they were bought, and now that I can't go out due to the disaster weather and can't play on my phone, it's just right to take a look at them. Luo wisely stopped bothering me, went out the door, and when he came back he brought a few books and pulled a chair to the corner to sit down. As time goes by, the temperature gradually rises. We open a crack in the freezer and the small fan swayed left and right, blowing. If the temperature rises a bit more, turn the freezer up a bit more to maintain the indoor temperature within a bearable range for the human body. And then drink water to replenish the body's lost fluids. Even with such a simple cooling device, by the afternoon both of us were still sitting there drenched in sweat, and our books were soaked with sweat. What calmness naturally brings coolness does not exist in the face of absolute high temperatures. Fortunately, we managed to get through it smoothly. The highest temperature today is 58 degrees, and the hot weather will continue. In the evening we charged our phones and turned on the radio to listen for a while, feeling a bit apprehensive. If it weren't for that life-saving solar charger, Luo and I really wouldn't know how to get by. After dark we used the flashlight on our phones to illuminate and brought all the meat from the balcony inside. When we went out I almost slipped because the ground was covered in grease from the roasting. The aroma of meat is irresistible, even the lid can't cover it. I was originally a bit worried that it would attract people with ulterior motives, so I was very cautious for several days and couldn't sleep well at night. But fortunately no one else appeared. Luo goes back to his own home to sleep every night and only comes over during the day. Starting the next day he moved over a large number of board games along with his existing books, which helped pass a lot of time. We eat sun-dried barbecue every day, occasionally opening a bag of snacks paired with drinks from the cooler. After getting used to the high temperatures, there was a moment when I actually felt that life was peaceful and good. But I understand that these are all illusions because of the high temperature every day that passes as the candle light in the opposite building decreases by a few households at night. On the night a week later I was asleep, and in my dream I was guessing intelligence with people from the rival company, the Rival One. But I didn't feel regret. I saw them setting off fireworks to celebrate, and I was clapping on the side. The sound of the explosion woke me up. I sat up abruptly and looked out the window, only to realize that it wasn't a salute, but rather an explosion in a place across the street. The flames splitting the darkness. Recently I have been able to hear the sound of explosions, and I have also seen flames and black smoke at night, but they are all far away from me. This is the closest I have been. Another loud bang, and the glass was shaking. I screamed, rolled out of bed, and rushed out. By the time I reacted I was already trembling while holding on to Luo's waist. It's okay, it's the building across the street, it won't reach us here. He reached out somewhat stiffly to touch my hair. I shivered and suddenly pushed him away. Fong Qing, don't come over, I'm fine. I gritted my teeth and retreated to the bedroom, quickly closing the door. The fire in the building across has completely caught on, and it seems you can hear the crackling sounds and screams. Fong Qing, are you okay? Luo knocked on the door twice. I squatted down, hugging my knees with both hands covering my ears as the persistent sound of the drum and Luo's knocking intertwined in my mind, raining down on me like raindrops. I'm fine, you can go back, I screamed and said. Fong Qing, I'm outside, don't worry, nothing will happen, just calm down. Luo seemed to say this, and the knocking stopped. I couldn't hear clearly. I just squatted there looking at the increasingly large flames from the opposite building through the window. Someone rushed out from the flames, falling straight down like a bird without wings. Someone appeared at the window waving a flashlight for help, while others poured water down from the upper floors, but it was useless. The flames were still getting bigger and bigger until it enveloped the entire building. The flames soar into the sky. Ironically, the building across the street has turned into a fiery hell, yet here less than 100 meters away the temperature hasn't risen much. God, if this is really the end of the world, please let me be freed quickly. I just hugged my knees and kept my eyes open until dawn. The big fire burned all night long, had not completely extinguished by dawn. Knock, knock, knock. The door of the bedroom was knocked. I fell to the ground and then realized that my legs had gone numb and I couldn't feel them. Fong Qing, it's me, I'm Luo. Take a look outside. Is it raining? He said it is said to be raining, but in fact it is just a few scattered drops of water. If you don't look closely you wouldn't even notice it's rain because it is almost evaporated in mid-air. Half an hour later I looked down from the balcony and the ground was still golden yellow. The sun has come out and the temperature is rising as usual. It's artificial rain from the neighboring city, and we got a little bit of it. Luo is standing behind me with his phone. Although this little bit of rain is of no use, the fact that there is artificial rain indicates that the higher-ups have not come to a standstill. As long as we persevere we will surely be able to wait for a day of cooler temperatures. One must not lose faith in survival. I brought over 2 more boxes of water. The high temperature won't last too long, it should pass soon, Luo said, carrying the water to the bedroom door. Seeing that I had no objections, he then brought the water inside. His cautious gaze was fully revealed. I may have scared him last night. The building across the street has several spots that have reignited with thick smoke rolling out, obscuring part of the sky. The sunlight pierced through the black mist, casting a patch of bright red like a needle tip, surrounded by a circle of orange light exuding a murderous aura. In the face of such a scene both of us were somewhat distracted, playing cards and forgetting what had just happened, and in the end we simply stopped playing and each took a book to read. During this time I went to the bathroom and found that the water in the bathtub used for flushing the toilet was almost gone, and both the basin and the bucket were completely empty. In order to save water these days we have tacitly agreed to only flush the toilet when we have a bowel movement, and we also just wipe our bodies with a wet towel when showering. But we can't stand it for long. The high temperature causes quick evaporation. The toilet water is running low. Let's flush it once a day from now on. When I walked out of the bathroom I made a suggestion to Luo. Luo listened, showing a bitter smile, but did not refuse. We all know that this is the result of having no other choice. Fortunately, in the middle of the night 3 days later we finally welcomed a rain. It is also artificial rain, but this time it fell over our city, and the rain in the suburbs is not small either. The sound of rain hitting the window directly woke me up, and Luo also came to knock on the door, his excitement evident. We both put everything that could collect rainwater on the balcony, striving to save as much water as possible, and took out towels to quickly take a shower and wash our hair. Luo took off his jacket, revealing his young body. His muscles were still well defined, though he was a bit thin, and he cheered in the rain. I couldn't care less about being reserved, turning my back to Luo, washing away the stickiness with rainwater, feeling the rain hitting my face, and feeling completely relaxed. I hear happy laughter coming from upstairs, and downstairs clearly there are still many people in this building holding on. Half an hour later the rain stopped. It comes quickly and goes quickly. The bucket is only filled with less than 1/3. But it brings enough coolness and hope. Luo and I opened 2 cans of yellow peach canned fruit as a reward for ourselves. There is still a lot of food. High temperatures will affect people's appetite, and now we haven't touched the half-roasted pig at all, only eating a few ducks and chickens. There has always been no shortage of drinking water and beverages. I haven't even finished the drinks I stocked up on from the supermarket before the disaster occurred. Just hold on a little longer, you will definitely get through it. Ding ding ding. Just changed into clean clothes, and there was another good news: the phone regained signal. And many text messages flooded in at the first moment in order not to miss external news, even when there was no signal, before we all tacitly charged our phones to full every day. I picked up my phone and took a quick look at those messages, which were mostly safety reminders and heat alerts, along with some shelter information released by the authorities. Hey mom, Luo has already connected the home phone on the side. I this unfilial daughter have fallen behind. I hurriedly called my mom's phone, but it said it was turned off out of power. I dialed the landline at home. Beep beep beep, urgent busy tone. How could this happen? I found my dad's phone number and dialed it, but it still couldn't be connected. After thinking for a moment, I dug out my uncle's and third uncle's numbers and called each relative's phone one by one. I'm fine here, doing well. There's enough water to drink and enough food to eat. You all must take good care of yourselves, don't. When Luo was talking on the phone and turned to me, his voice paused for a moment. Mom, anyway, before the temperature drops, don't run around, listen to the higher ups, and when the weather is normal I'll go back to see you. My friend still needs to use my phone to call home, so I'll hang up first. He said a few more words, hung up the phone, and handed the phone to me. Try using mine. I didn't refuse. I took it and first entered my mom's number that I know by heart. Turned off, shut down, still shut down. They might have a power outage in their area. Seeing that I kept dialing one call after another without getting through, Luo comforted me. They are already over 60 years old. I was holding 2 phones, continuing to make calls, and finally, when I was about to lose hope, a cousin I hadn't been in touch with for many years answered the phone. Hello, I am Ching Ching. What green cousin? I am Su Ching Ching, your third aunt's daughter. Do you know how things are on my mom's side? I'm alone in another place and can't get in touch with them. I try to calm myself down and speak. Oh, it's you. I didn't know. Why don't you call the shelter? And asked. This cousin is quite helpful and immediately sent me a list of local shelter phone numbers. I immediately dialed, but after checking 3 I didn't find my parents' names. I wanted to continue checking, but a standard female voice came from my phone. Hello, the number you have dialed is not in service area. Please try again later. I have a bad feeling about this. I continued to dial the next number and it was the same prompt. Looking at my phone signal, it had indeed dropped to 0 bars again. The signal is lost. Hey, don't cry. Luo helplessly handed me a tissue, and only then did I realize that I was already in tears. I can't get in touch with them. They are getting old, and it's so hot. What should I do? Although it is much cooler in the mountains than in the city. Such high temperatures cannot be avoided in the mountains either. With the power outage and loss of signal, I am really worried that something might happen to them. It's okay, they must be fine. My parents are fine. They are all in the shelter with air conditioning, food to eat and water to drink. They are much more comfortable than we are, Luo said, handing me several tissues. I took it and buried my face in the tissue, crying uncontrollably. After so many days of hardship, I didn't cry. I wasn't scared by the big fire across the street, but when I found out I couldn't contact my parents who were thousands of miles away, I couldn't help but cry. I regret that I shouldn't have been so willful, running off to live in such a distant place, only going back to see them once a year. If I could start over, I would definitely stay by their side and go nowhere. A pair of slightly stiff but warm arms gently embraced me from the side. I shrank back a little. My body trembled slightly. Don't be afraid, it's me. Don't be afraid, I won't hurt you. Your parents must be exactly in a place where the signal hasn't been restored, and they must be eager to contact you. The mobile signal has recovered once, it will definitely recover a second time. We need to be patient and wait a little longer, okay? Although the embrace was clumsy and the words of comfort were nothing new, I gradually calmed down in his voice. Okay, let's wait a little longer. However, there was no good news in the following days because the temperature quickly rose again, even higher than before. The artificial rain hot. I looked at the calendar on the wall. It has been 23 days since I started my leave, during which the temperature has almost always been rising, only dropping slightly on the day of artificial rain, but it quickly rose back above 60 degrees. That's right, the earth is about to explode, or it should be said that humanity can no longer survive on the ground. Some people on the internet may be right. Humanity is like a virus existing on the surface of the earth, and now the Earth is having a fever. Relying on a live fever to kill the virus, this is the end of humanity. What are you thinking? Hurry up and help, it's going to fall. Luo was carrying 2 boxes of mineral water past the bottle bodies deformed by the high temperature, crooked and twisted. One bottle was about to fall out of the plastic bag, so I quickly supported it. I don't know how his family has so much mineral water stored at home. Over the past few days he has moved at least a dozen boxes back and forth. I'm wondering if it will continue to warm up. I helped him move the mineral water into the bedroom, putting the bottles into the freezer. These days during the hottest times, I feel like I could just dive into the freezer. You also want something good. If you want to know whether it will cool down today, it dropped half a degree yesterday. Luo pressed his lips together, his lips somewhat dry and cracked. Adding more water won't help. I can't stand this kind of roasting, and my lips aren't in a good condition either. Actually, there is a possibility that we are about to experience a heat evolution soon. Haven't you noticed that we haven't had a heat stroke until now? He closed the freezer door until there was only a small gap left, fanning himself vigorously with his clothes. His face flushed and drenched in sweat. I found him to be quite a gentleman, except for that day when it rained and he took a shower. He wouldn't expose his upper body even when it was hot while I was there. I originally didn't have the heat stroke gene. When I was a child I worked in the fields with my mom. Even at 40 degrees I shrugged my shoulders. Luo listened, turned to look at me with a cheerful smile, grinning like a fool. You call this a heat stroke gene? What a coincidence. My family hasn't had a heat stroke gene for 3 generations, and I have never had heat stroke growing up. My highest record was playing basketball under 39 degrees, causing 3 opponents and 2 teammates to get heat stroke and be hospitalized. I was the one who called 120 for them. Wow, awesome, let's do it. I took out a bottle of drink and handed him a bottle as well. We don't have many drinks left. Every bottle we drink is one less, but people have to live their lives right. Luo took it and we happily opened the bottle cap together and took a big gulp. Comfortable. He let out a sigh and fell down onto the floor. The drink has been in the freezer all night, so it's definitely refreshing under high temperatures. We need the cold air from the freezer to cool down, but it cannot be completely sealed. And with insufficient power, the ice layer in the freezer has long melted. Now it is about the same temperature as the preservation layer, and it can only be slightly colder at night. If we don't drink it now, the ice will dissipate after a while. I learned to lie down on the floor like him, looking at the glass lamp on the ceiling. This lamp was just replaced before the disaster, and it is still very new. It only needs a little bit of light to shine brilliantly. Suddenly, it seemed like I saw that lamp flicker a few times. Dizzy, I rubbed my eyes and found that the light was getting more and more intense. It is an earthquake. Luo rolled over and got up, grabbing one of my arms and almost dragging me off the ground, suddenly throwing me into the bathroom next to the bedroom. And he rushed into, looking around in a panic. The bathroom is very smelly because there is no flushing toilet, but it is definitely not comparable to the panic caused by the earthquake. This earthquake came without any warning and was strong. I heard that a prolonged drought can cause earthquakes. I had only seen one-sided words about it online before and never looked into it. With so many days of high temperatures, we didn't even think about it. With our fried brains caught off guard, the building is tilting, then returning to normal, then tilting again, followed by shaking up and down like a giant snake passing underground. I screamed and held tightly on to the only person I could hold in front of me. Luo is much taller than me, bending down to hold me tightly in his arms, taking me through the earthquake as we sway back and forth, occasionally bumping into the walls nearby and almost falling into the bathtub. When the earthquake finally stopped, all I could hear was the rapid beating of my heart and the ragged breaths of the 2 of us, like a seizure. The building didn't collapse, but the bathroom door is crooked. I fell to the ground. Luo leaned against the wall and walked out, cursing. What is called a desperate situation. This is called a desperate situation. The earthquake damaged our life-saving solar panels. No way to fix it because 2/3 were smashed. The electrical box caught fire, and it was not easy to find the fire extinguisher to put it out. The bedroom is a complete mess. After putting out the fire, we almost exhausted our last bit of strength and fell to the ground together. The sun in the sky is looking at us with a venomous gaze. I can feel the fuzz on my face curling in the high temperature burn sinking into the pores, bringing waves of tingling pain. In a few hours, the high temperature will kill us. What was the temperature today that I heard on the radio yesterday? 62 or 66. After a while, I got up from the ground and started to pull out the water and drinks from the freezer. What are you doing? Luo's talk. Hurry up and help. I simply told him to move the freezer away from the window, place it at the foot of the bed, and throw all the drinks drinks inside onto the bed. Then I took off my shoes and stepped in. It's not going to work after a while. As the temperature rises you might suffocate inside. It's not me, it's us. I waved at him. Little did anyone know Luo then took a step back. I won't go in. I have claustrophobia. You don't need to worry about me. Just sit down. I'll put the drinks in to cool down. Maybe you can hold on. His eyes flickered. What lies are you telling? Claustrophobia. Please. I beckoned to him with my hand. Brother, I have had a failed marriage in this life and I was beaten badly before I got out. If you don't mind me, come in. I won't hide anymore. I want to give myself a chance. I found that I quite like you. As the words fell I saw Luo's pupils tremble. He swallowed. I looked at him solemnly, feeling the rising heat in the room. Unable to tell if it was really getting warmer or if my face was just getting hot, I said the boldest words of my life. Luo, do you want to die with me? Whether one dies early or late, it is still death, but as individuals we tend to fear death and cling to life. I hope he is afraid of death. Luo turned his head and his face visibly turned a pig liver color. I am actually called Jojo, 28 years old, an online self-media person, not a game streamer. And the money I earn barely makes ends meet. How coincidental, you heard it before. My name is Su Ching. I am 31 years old, a salesperson at a software company. The money I earn is enough to support you. Would you be willing to be supported by me? Little brother, once a person's skin thickens, certain realms are elevated. At least I won this debate that took place at the end of the world. Jojo, no, it was Jojo, finally nodded at me with a serious expression, then rushed into the bathroom, brought out a bucket of the remaining water inside and poured it into the freezer. I silently opened a bottle of mineral water and poured all the water inside into the freezer. After pouring out all the mineral water, it filled about a quarter of the bottom of the freezer. The entire process took less than 5 minutes. But the surrounding temperature had already reached a level where one had to breathe carefully, as if taking a deep breath would inhale a fireball. I sit in the water, giving Jojo a little space. He threw a pile of unopened drink bottles into the water, then handed me a small fan that was still working and also squeezed in. Although the freezer is quite large, it is still a bit cramped for 2 adults, especially Jojo, whose head is mostly sticking out when sitting down. I shifted my position, turned to his side, nestled into his arms, allowing his knees to bend, lying down in a constrained posture. The waterline still doesn't reach our waist. I reached out and pulled down the lid of the freezer, leaving only a small gap. The temperature in the freezer is much lower than outside, and I actually sneezed. Is everything okay? Jojo asked nervously. It's okay, Jojo. If we can survive this time, can I take you to meet my parents? I wrapped my arms around his waist and rested my face on his shoulder. As long as I can survive, I can go with you with the household registration book and we can get the certificate on the spot. This is what you said. You can't go back on it. I will never regret it, but you also have to help me with something. Jojo said. What is it? You have to meet my brothers. They all laugh at me for being a shut-in at home and not being able to find a girlfriend, but look, I found one and she's a beauty. They'll be so envious. Jojo laughed out loud. The rare coolness. Although the posture is uncomfortable, our mindset is much more relaxed. Sure, as long as I can survive, I'm fine with live streaming to express my love for you. As long as I can survive, anything is possible. The temperature begins to rise, accompanied by a series of aftershocks. I don't know if it's just my illusion. Please don't let there be another major earthquake. This building can't withstand a second violent shake. When the temperature reached a certain level, I turned on the small fan and the buzzing sound replaced our heartbeat. The slight circulation in air was the only remaining source of life. You have to survive. I don't know how long it has been, but I actually fell asleep. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was Jojo's face with dark circles under his eyes, a gaunt cheek and messy stubble. He closed his eyes, his eyelashes slightly trembling as if he were dreaming something. Looking out from the freezer, I can see that the sky is still very bright, but there seems to be something a little different. Sound is there, the sound of raindrops. I reached out through the gap in the freezer and found that the temperature outside wasn't very high, so I simply opened the freezer and poked my head out. The heavy rain pattered against the shattered glass and I saw that the sky outside was gray with large drops of rain falling from above. Some of it splashed into the room through the deformed window frame of the bay window, forming a puddle on the floor. It's raining. I pinched my own face. It hurts. It's really raining. Jojo, it's raining. We survived. We survived. I excitedly slapped his face, trying to wake him up. The acquisition, however, is a high fever. Jojo, don't scare me. I touched his forehead and quickly crawled out of the freezer. Fortunately, he was woken up by me. Is it raining? It's so cold. Yes, it's raining. You have a fever. Hurry up and come out. I helped him up and he slipped the water, hitting his head against the inner wall of the freezer with a loud bang which startled me. After a lot of effort, I finally got him to lie down on the bed. I quickly took a blanket to wipe his body, removed his shirt, and wrapped him in a dry blanket. It's so hot, he said again, kicked the quilt, turned over, and fell into a deep sleep, breathing heavily. I was at a loss on the side. I have never taken care of a patient and don't know what to do. I saw him close his eyes, quickly covered him with the quilt again, leaving only his feet feet exposed and then walked out of the bedroom. I haven't been to the living room since the earthquake. It's a mess here. The TV fell down and crushed half of the coffee table. The display cabinet is leaning against the window of the balcony, and there are unfinished jerky and dried vegetables all over the floor, rolling everywhere. It's still acceptable. I first found a pair of shoes to put on and then carefully lifted the TV, taking the medicine box out of the deformed drawer of the TV cabinet. Because I live alone, I prepared some cold medicine and anti-inflammatory drugs at home. But unfortunately, due to the previous pandemic, I couldn't stock up on fever-reducing medicine at home. After hesitating for a moment, I took out a box of anti-inflammatory medicine mixed in some vitamins and returned to the bedside to feed it to him with a drink. Fortunately, he is a good patient and lets me fuss over him. After doing all this, I let him sleep, turned around to pick up the bucket and basin from the ground and planned to collect some rainwater to save. Raindrops continuously hit the window, producing a dull sound, high and low, intertwining into a mass with distant rumbling sounds, sometimes loud and sometimes soft like thunder. I navigated around a ground full of obstacles, cautiously approached the balcony, and just as I was about to put down the bucket and basin, I looked up and saw the scene in the distance, suddenly widening my eyes and freezing in place. As far as the eye can see, a giant yellow dragon is rolling forward with an unstoppable momentum, its white back constantly surging, and wherever it passes, skyscrapers collapse with a roar while lower buildings are continuously swallowed and submerged. What I heard was not thunder but the sound of torrential floods collapsing buildings. This is impossible. It just rained. How could there be such a big flood? This is the mainland, and it cannot be a tsunami. Wait, if it's a tsunami, what about those coastal cities? My hometown. My parents are in the coastal city. The messages in the radio have become more and more formulaic these days. Is this just to cover it up? I dare not continue to think, just standing in place watching the yellow giant dragon approach, stirring up waves of thunder. These buildings, exposed to high temperatures and shaken by earthquakes, how could they withstand the strong impact of floods? They have all collapsed with only a few still standing, but they are also swaying in the wind and rain. It's only a matter of time before they fall. The ground began to shake. The flood is already very close. I felt my legs go weak and almost fell to the ground, forcing myself to return to the bedroom. Jojo is still asleep, seemingly unaware of everything around him, and I can't help but feel a bit envious of him. I climbed onto the bed, snug into the quilt, and held him tightly. Jojo seemed to be awakened by me, murmuring a couple of times with his head turned towards me. At least there is a companion on the road to the underworld. Rumbling with a loud bang like two trucks colliding, the building suddenly shook and the few remaining pieces of glass shattered instantly. In the sound of the collision, the glass lamp above directly fell down and landed straight on the quilt. The connection between the wardrobe and the wall emitted a piercing, sharp noise, and then the entire bed was flipped over. I felt as if I had flown out, crashed into something, and was suddenly yanked back by a hand. Opening my eyes, I saw Jojo holding my hand, his face full of astonishment, his mouth opening and closing, but I couldn't hear his voice over the loud noise. I grabbed his hand back, forcefully swung myself towards him, and finally succeeded in returning to his embrace, holding him tightly. Rolling in the air and falling down, I lost consciousness. Perhaps it was just a moment, the ground still shaking beneath me. I have already woken up. The building hasn't collapsed yet, it's just that the outer wall is gone. We are wrapped in a blanket. Jojo has one hand around me and the other hand is under the blanket, while both of my hands are underneath my body, unable to move. The overturned freezer pressed down on us, making us closely fit together. From his eyes it can be seen that both of us must look quite disheveled right now. 16th floor, he hoarsely uttered 3 words and coughed a few times. Our building has 33 floors, and the 16th floor is exactly in the middle position, which is the most earthquake-resistant position as well as the center axis of the vibrations, and it is also the highest point that the local fire department's ladder can reach. I don't know if it's the rainwater or the water that was previously poured into the freezer that has slowly soaked us. I felt my thigh was cool, and when I wanted to look down, he tilted my chin and kissed me live on Su Ching Ching. The sudden kiss took me by surprise. We all have to survive. I still want to meet your parents with you, get a marriage certificate with you. You need to video call my brothers. Let me show off my girlfriend, my wife. He kissed me again and buried his head in my shoulder. Jojo, can you get up? I asked him. I can't get up, I'm stuck. His voice was muffled, and after a few seconds he said, I regret it so much. What are you regretting? I asked. He murmured softly, if I had known that the first time I saw you open the door and fell in love with you at first sight, I should have rushed over to confess my love to you. I was just too timid, which led to me almost dying, still a virgin. I almost laughed out loud when I heard it. My body shook and my chest felt tight, which made me quite uncomfortable. We are really close together now, so close that I can barely breathe. Brother, if you had confessed your love to me back then, I would have moved out the next day. Moving away might be good, maybe you'll survive, he said quickly. I was silent for a moment, tried to move my hand, and felt a sharp pain. Actually, I regret regret a bit if I hadn't gone back to the bedroom in those last few seconds but stayed on the balcony. I would definitely have been thrown out and simply drowned, crashed or killed by the waves without having to pretend to be calm while feeling death approaching here. The water in the room is increasing and the water outside has still flooded and drifting under my forehead. Don't move, let me see if I can climb out. I finished speaking, secretly gathering strength, twisting my body. It's not that tightly packed. When it really starts to move outward, there are still some gaps. I endured the excruciating pain of my arm rubbing against something unknown and stretched one hand out from underneath me. The pressure suddenly decreased. A drop of sweat from Jojo fell on my face. As he forced his body up with one arm coordinating with my movements, I slowly crawled out, wriggling in the water, and finally freed my other hand as well. Using both hands, I slipped out from under him. Jojo suddenly fell into the water. Are you okay? I hurriedly called out to him. Only after crawling out did I realize that the water on the ground was all red. Can't die. He also crawled out and wiped his face with his hand. I noticed that his other hand was twisted behind his back, probably broken, and there was a sharp glass shard poking into his left ankle, but I'm not in a much better situation. There's a deep cut on the back of my right leg from something and blood is still losing out. The water level in the room has risen significantly, almost to my ankles. Many people shout every day that they are not afraid of death, but the desire for life often reaches a peak just before one dies. I exchanged a glance with him and we jumped out together in perfect harmony, passing by the collapsed wall next to the security door and jumping onto the staircase with exposed rebar. Only by going up can one survive. Adrenaline made a struggle to climb 2 floors, and we finally collapsed in the hallway on the 18th floor. Jojo gasped for a few breaths, reached out to pull my clothes, and lifted them up. I shivered. What are you doing? Did he want to have one last shot before he died? I don't have the strength for that. Your thigh needs to be stopped from bleeding. Take off your clothes and tie it up. He said. Why not take yours off? Because I'm afraid of pain. He pointed to the twisted arm still behind his back. I thought for a moment, untied my shoelaces, and tightened them a few centimeters above the wound. The blood is still flowing, but the flow has decreased a bit. It should be drying up soon. Blood loss made me start to feel dizzy and cold all over. Forget it. Let me jump down from there. While I still had the strength, I pointed to the window in the corridor, which had lost even its frame. It now resembled a wind tunnel with a constant whoosh of wind coming from inside. No, I have to die in front of you, otherwise it will sound too bad if it gets out. Jojo got up limping to the window opening, then looked outside and began to cry. What are you crying about? We've managed to hold on until now, which is already longer than many people. Maybe we won't even have to wait in line to go to the underworld. I joked with him. He turned his head and wiped his face. Dear, come and see God. I am an atheist, I said weakly. No way, you have to come. It's super good looking. Jojo jumped over and insisted on pulling me up from the ground. I was afraid to let him down, so I could only struggle to stand up. 2 sick and disabled people helping each other, leaning against that windward side. The wind blew through my bangs. I raised my eyes to look outside, wanting to see if I could see the same illusion as him, and suddenly my eyes went straight. My eyes were wet and my tears fell down. I saw a flag which is red with 5 stars printed on it, 1 large and 4 small. Surrounding it there is also a blue-gray ship and a small black boat cutting through the waves, on which are the most lovely people. Have you ever seen a beautiful woman at first sight? The sister next door is not very tall, has her hair in a bun, and has very beautiful eyes. When the property manager Xiao Chen came to deliver the notice, I noticed her at first glance. Unfortunately, I, who am not ambitious, didn't dare to look too much, and after listening to Xiao Chen's notice, quickly closed the door. It was only after closing the door that I began to regret, was I just a bit rude? I stayed up late editing videos again last night. Just woke up and my hair must be a mess. It's a disaster. The first impression for the girl across the way is terrible. I need to think of a way to make up for it, otherwise ask her if she needs to repair her computer. Is it too strange to go now? Wait a few more days. The temperature is ridiculously high and extreme heat weather has appeared globally to varying degrees. The power is out. So hot. I checked the small refrigerator at home and unexpectedly found a popsicle inside that I don't know how long I've had. Wait, is this heaven giving me a chance? I held the ice cream and finally mustered the courage to walk to her door, ringing the doorbell with trembling hands. Ding dong, ding dong. I was so nervous that I was sweating profusely. The doorbell rang for half a minute and she opened the door a crack, wearing a t-shirt and sports shorts, her beautiful eyes filled with vigilance. Did I come off too abrupt? I just called the property management and said it will take another half an hour. You must be really hot. Eat an ice cream to cool down. I have plenty here. If you're hot you can come and get some from me. I have no idea what I'm saying and I regret it. As soon as I finish let you show off. What if she asks me for other ice cream? Thank you, no need. I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunate, but she rejected me. I thought for a moment and decided to put the ice cream on the shelf by her door, then turned around and went home, then quickly pounced on the cat's eye. She opened the door and accepted the ice cream cream I gave her. She accepted it so happy. What should we send next? Is mineral water okay? On such a hot day she will definitely not refuse water. Just decided happily like this. In a while I will bring her water anyway, because I'm not used to drinking tap water and boiled water. I've stocked up a whole room of mineral water. This bad habit has actually made me a water resource tycoon, and I can even provide for her to take a shower. Attention everyone, all homeowners, please note our city is facing a heat disaster and the solar panels in the community have been damaged by the sun. However, the weather was not favorable. Half an hour later, after glancing at the temperature displayed on my phone and considering what the property management said, I thought it was more important to survive first and I would think about chasing girls later. Thinking this, I quickly packed some food and drinks, grabbed the car keys, and hesitated for a moment before opening the door, bringing my eyes close to the peephole. Maybe the young lady across the door really packed her things and was about to go out. I almost opened the door at the same time as her, nodded at her, and showed a very reliable expression. Come with me, my gas tank is full. At this moment I must be super handsome, but why did she step back after listening? Did I scare her? Stop pretending to be impressive. Stop pretending to be impressive. I pinched myself in my mind, quickly softened my tone and told her I meant no harm. It might be that I was too sincere, and she agreed to go downstairs with me. I walked in front, glancing with the corner of my eye to confirm that she was following me, and I couldn't help but daydream a bit. Sigh. The husband sings and the wife follows. She wanted to take the old man from the 5th floor with her, but was chased away by the old man. I thought about it and decided to leave a bottle of water for the elderly. Doing good deeds should be done together as a couple. She got into my car and now we are in the same space. I forgot that there was still fruit in the car that I hadn't thrown away. So awkward. However, I learned her name. Her name is Fong Ching. Such a lovely name. I dare not say my name is Jojo. After thinking about it, I used my mother's surname and told her my name is Luo. Otherwise, I fear she would think, like many others who hear my name, that it's disgusting for a grown man to use a reduplicated name. I found out that I am an idiot. The new ventilation fan in the basement has stopped and the air is not circulating. With so many cars and so many air conditioners, it will definitely heat up in a while. And not only will the gasoline burn insufficiently, but carbon monoxide will also accumulate if left in the parking lot. It could lead to poisoning at any time. I had to climb back to the 16th floor with Fong Ching. I am guilty. I made her suffer. During the break we met with property manager Xiao Chen, who brought me some unfortunate news. It is not about eradicating the coronavirus, it is to exterminate people. The extreme weather with a high temperature of 56 degrees has left me stunned, so I can only let Fong Ching make her own decision. No matter what decision she makes, I support her. Later she decided to move up. She told me the password to her house. She invited me into her house. Is this the house where the girl lives? It really smells good. Even the bathroom smells nice. Later on, the high temperature became our matchmaker. I don't know whether I should love this matchmaker. In short, thank you, high temperature matchmaker, for helping me end my 28 years of being single. Please stay away from us in the future and also stay away from humanity. High temperature earthquakes, floods. The chain of natural disasters that occurred in the summer of 2022 has gradually subsided and the floodwaters have receded. I have been recovering from a leg injury while Su Ching has recovered faster than me and has recently started participating in the overall planning of post-disaster reconstruction for several communities. I think she is amazing. No wonder she is my wife. My father-in-law and mother-in-law are even more impressive. I heard they donated the mountain peak to the authorities as a shelter, which is now a key temporary resettlement area. Communication has been restored, but unfortunately transportation is inconvenient, so I can't go see them right away. Once this disaster is over, I must remind her to hurry and take me home to see my parents. And most importantly, to get the marriage certificate so that I can show off in front of my brothers, who says I'm a hopeless shut-in and destined to be single. I've actually gotten a wife in just over 20 days. Hope everyone is still alive.